Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. So today is the first class of our QCDD session. So I think most of them are online. Today's class is just an introductory class. We are not going much on details about the MMUP or QCDD guidelines. Instead, we are just focusing on we are trying to focus on the exams, what are all the areas you have to focus on, and the key elements, which is do's and don'ts in your real exam. So let's give a short introduction about yourself. Start from the class, please. You are just your name, which you are in contractor or consultant, and this is your first time as
Yes, my name is Sir.
Yes.
From Trust, consultant to engineering.
Yes. So, consultant.
Yes.
This is your first time.
Yeah.
Yes.
My name is Kim from Badri Architecture. So
Consultant. Okay. This is your first time.
first.
Okay. So, those who are in online, could you please give a short introduction about yourself?
Hello, my name is Ahmed.
Yes.
I'm from consultant company.
Yes.
It's my first time to take the exam.
Welcome. So, Mr. Ashokan,
Yeah, consultant. Yeah.
thank you. So next. Next. Mr. Ashokan,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
could you please give an introduction about yourself?
Myself, Ashugan, and first time I am attending this exam, sir.
So,
Good.
you are consultant,
Not attended.
contractor.
First time, it is first time I am attending
You are
this.
from consultant background or contractor?
You are a contractor side, sir.
Contractor. Okay, fine. Okay, next.
Your voice is not clear. Can you keep the mic in around with you, sir? It's better.
Is my voice audible now? Is my voice audible?
It's far.
It is very far, sir. That's what the voice is it's not clear that much.
Not
Okay.
clear. Not clear.
Okay, understood. Give me a second. They can hear. No, they said they are getting very far. Yes. Yes. Is my voice still? Is it audible now?
A little bit better.
Little bit better.
It's called mic that was not talking to that. Yeah. And start. So let's start with the session. So this is the exam pattern. First, I'll explain for the contractors and then I will come back to the consultants. Okay. So contractors, the exam duration is 2 hours and the question is 40 questions. It's an open book exam. So you need minimum 70% to get it passed. And you have 3 attempts to get passed and time available will be once you appear for the exam, once you apply for the exam, you roughly get 5 to 10 days, working days to get your exam date. So please make sure that you finish all your syllabus or all your class before you try to apply this. Because if you apply, you will get it in 5 to 10 days. Okay. And total marks for the contractors it is 100 and the time available for each question is roughly between 2.4 minutes. For the consultants, the exam duration is 90 minutes and number of questions is 25. Still, it's an open book exam. So passing percentage is 70% and number of chances is 3 attempts and time available after applying for exam is 5 to 10 days. That is same. Okay. Syllabus is same. For contractors and consultants, syllabus is same. But for the contractors, the exam is divided into 2. So HVAC and that is ACMV and firefighting. This is 2 different streams for contractors. For consultant, it's 1 exam. You will get the question from both ACMV as well as from firefighting. That's the only difference. And it will be in the 25 questions. Okay. For the contractors, it will be 40 questions separately for the firefighting and 40 questions separately for the ACMV. That is 2 different exams. Okay. Either you have to appear for 1 exam at first and within 1 or 2 weeks. It depends on your exam preparation. You can appear for the next exam. But for the consultant, there is only 1 exam. It's common for ACM and firefighting. So the syllabus. This is for the fire alarm, third part of us. And for the exam syllabus, it starts from firefighting. If it is for firefighting, it starts from NFPA 3, 4, 10, and 13, 14, 16, 17, 70A, 20, 22, 24, 25, 101, 2001, 2010, 750, and 5000. This is the exam pattern for firefighting. All your questions will be focused only within this syllabus. Okay. Apart from this, the questions will not be asked. The questions will be asked only for. Apart from this, the question will be asked from not from the syllabus. That is only for the let's say standard NFPA 110. So they will ask what is NFPA 110 refers to. So it will be for standard for emergency standby power system. So you have to write down. Actually, it's a multiple choice question. You don't have to worry about. You don't have to memorize anything else. You just have to focus on what is being given on the question, where to hunt the answer. That's the only task you will be doing for the entire QCDD exam. You don't have to memorize any of the values. Okay. You can memorize some of the values, like some content will be on this part of the section or this part, but you don't have to memorize anything else. Okay. you have to know each and every nook of NFPA as well as the QCDD guidelines. Okay, because the questions will be most from QCDD guidelines as well as from NFPA. So the exam syllabus for ACMV or air conditioning and mechanical ventilation, this 4 topics is common. NFPA 3, 4, 101 and 5000. It's common for all. For firefighting, ACMV is common. Even for electrical, same. Okay. So apart from this, this mostly concentrated on 88A, 90A, 90B, 92, 96, then 130, 204 will be there apart from the common syllabus. Okay. ACM is a very small topic focusing mainly on QCDD guidelines. So the classes are subdivided into 7 classes totally. First class is the introduction class. In the introduction class, we will guide you through the QCDD guidelines. Today we will see only the QCDD guidelines. Okay. After that, the second class will be focusing mainly on 101, 3, and third class is for 5000, 4, and fourth class is for 10, 13, 14, and 15. Fifth class is for 2001, 16, 17, and sixth is for 24, 25, 7, 15, and seventh and eighth is for ACM. So based on the requirement of the candidates, because some candidates may have a verge of exam at the very early stage. Maybe they have applied for the exam and they appear for the class. So based on their request, we may bring ACMB at the top at the initial classes and firefighting on the next class. But that will be purely depends on after our third class. Because first class is common for all, second class is common for all, because NFPA 3, 4, 101 and 5000 is common for all. So this until that it will be on sale. So after the third class, they can decide either to go with the ACMB or with the firefighting. I don't have any issues to start with the classes, but it's a pure choice. We can go either with the ACMB or with the firefighting and ACM at the last. Okay. We can discuss at the third class which direction we have to move. Okay. So this is all about the exam syllabus and pattern. Is there any doubt until this? Do you have any doubt in this? There is no negative marks in this exam, and it's an open book exam. But it's not so easy as it. So you have to be very familiar with the NFPA standards. That's the main thing to crack this. So let's start with let's start with QCDD guidelines. So this is the latest version of QCDD guidelines. I hope you will be familiarized with using these guidelines because when you are in the field, you have to go through these guidelines frequently to comply with it. Okay. So the guidelines have some content which will be similar to the NFPA. Like NFPA 101 and 5000 have the occupancies, residential occupancies, mercantile occupancies, business occupancies, educational occupancies, ambulatory healthcare facilities. Like that, there are many occupancy groups there. Each occupancy group have a certain criteria that you need to meet the means of egress this much height, this much width, or the firefighting resistance of the wall is 2 hours, or the fire lobby system have this much pressurization. All these areas will have a certain criteria. Okay. Apart from NFPA, QCDD guidelines is specific for Qatar. It is for Qatar Civil Defense Guidelines. So it is mainly for the point of Qatar. So if some values which is given, let's say, for example, for clean agent system. Okay, delay time is 10 seconds given on NFP, but in the QCDD, if it is given on 20 seconds, then the same value, same content, you have to pick the answer from QCDD guidelines. Okay, QCDD guidelines surpasses the values of NFP values. If same values given in NFPA as well as QCDD guidelines, you have to opt for QCDD guidelines. Clear? Because there will be some tricky questions that will have the same values in NFPA as well as for QCDD guidelines. You have to pick the answer from QCDD guidelines. You should not go for NFP. Okay? QCDD guidelines will surpass the value of NFP. So, this is the content of the QCD guidelines. Okay, there will be occupancy group, starting from assembly occupancy, educational occupancy, healthcare, residential.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I think there is nothing in the screen. The share screen is paused.
Can you see this now?
Yeah. Now, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in the occupancies chapter, you can see there are different type of occupancies: healthcare, educational, assembly occupancies, mercantile, until the storage occupancies. Okay, in these topics, the questions mostly will be focused between residential, mercantile, and some questions in business occupancies. Within these three occupancy group, the weightage of questions will be more. Okay, it's not easy to study or learn through all these topics line by line, but instead, please do focus on this group. Okay, there you will get more questions within this group. Because if you read one occupancy group, the similar patterns can be repeated in all other groups, like habitable height, means of egress. All these things will be repeatedly, you can see in all the occupancy group. Only a minor difference will be. Okay, so you have to focus on three different groups: residential, mercantile, and business occupancies. And apart from this, the question will be mostly asked from this annexer section. From the annexer section, there will be refuse floor, smoke stop and firefighting lobbies, external access. There are different types of annexer section. In that, if you are focusing as a consultant, you will get all these questions from all these topics in the annexer section. Okay, there will be almost 200 pages. You will get questions from between 297 and 429. There will be plenty of questions. Okay, in this annexer section. Okay, if you are in a contractor, if you are in firefighting, so you have to focus in firefighting system notes, fire pump and fire pump rules. That's it. These three topics you have to be very clear about for firefighting. And if you are for ACMB, you have to focus on ACMB. This is very important for ACMB. So, if you are in a contractor for ACMB, this topic is very important to get it passed. Without studying this topic, you cannot pass. Perfect. If you are appearing only for the ACMB, okay, this topic is so important because it's around 50 pages, but more weightage of question will be from this section. If you are appearing for ACMB exam, if you are appearing for the firefighting, you have to focus on these main three groups apart from the occupancies. Okay, this is for QCDD guidelines. So if a question is being asked, okay, let's say a question, what they will ask is, they will give you a ramp slope. Maximum slope shall be in 12 inch. Maximum cross shall be required in 48 inch for this occupancy group. Let's say this is masjid and mosque comes under the assembly occupancies. Okay, so they will not say masjid and mosque, they will give you in assembly occupancies. So the ramp slope of this parameter, ramp slope of 1 in 12 inch, that is slope, maintenance of slope, is required, permitted, allowed or not allowed. Okay, the options will be given like this. So you have to know this content where it is in the assembly occupancies. You have to go to the ramp section. You have to check whether it is required or permitted or allowed or not required. So there will be options like that, because here you can see required, and some areas you can see it is not required, and some areas it will be permitted. So some areas it will be, here you can see permitted, and some areas it will be not permitted. So you have to go to that particular area and you have to know whether it is permitted, not required, or required or not permitted. Okay, such questions may arise from this section, and particularly for residential occupancies. So this comes, accommodation building comes under the residential occupancies. So they will ask you the occupant load. So they will give you a definition and they will ask you what is this term refers to. So a number of persons whom means of egress are provided in accordance with the actual number of occupants not less than to be determined. They will give you a sentence and they will ask you what is it defines for. So we have to know whether it is occupant load factor or occupant load. There will be some minor difference between this. So definition is very important. Okay, definition you will get in 101, 5000 as well as from QCDD guidelines. Because in the QCDD guidelines you will get more or less content from 101 and 5000. Almost the same. And they will ask you mainly from the elimination. Elimination, that is very important when you are appearing for the exam. There will be a lux value. So 0.1 lux or 1.1 lux for how many duration? 1.5 hours, or after 1.5 hours, what will be the lux for the emergency lighting? Such questions will be asked from this section. And the means of egress, what is the width and height of the means of egress? What is the slope you have? You can be allowed to use that. And the firefighting rating of smoke stop lobbies or areas where the peoples and occupants will be in the safe area. Those areas they will ask you what is the wall firefighting resistance. Like 2 hours there, 1.5 hours is there. Depends on the area of the means of egress. If you see escape route corridor, so escape route or exit corridor served by not less than 2 exits shall not have less than 1 hour rated walls and 30 minutes fire rated doors and windows. So they will ask you one, how much is the fire rating hours for escape route corridor? Okay, they will give you with the options. They will not give you simply with the like escape route corridor. They will specify you whether it is an assembly occupancies or whether it is accommodation occupancies. They will specify in which occupancies what is the corridor firefighting rate. Okay. Such questions will be asked. And apartment building. So in the apartment building, they once asked the low-rise building with what is the height criteria. So whether it is 15 meter or greater than 15 meter or less than 15 meter, they will give you the options like that. You have to select one. Okay, for the high-rise building. And yes, in the buildings that are not protected by automatic sprinkler system, what is the fire barrier resistance if it is not protected by the automatic sprinkler system? So such questions have been asked in your previous exams. And means of egress. The questions will be asked mainly from the means of egress. Yes, the common travel path. The travel, they have given this definition and they asked what is this meant for. So such definitions will be there. So all these contents will be available in the QCD guidelines. Apart from that, they will not ask anything else. Only the NFP. Apart from that, only the NFPA with the specific codes will be asked apart from the syllabus. But all the content they will be asked only within the syllabus. Okay. So you have to be very familiar with QCD guidelines. QCD guidelines is very important because in the recent exams they are focusing mainly the questions related to QCD guidelines more than the NFP. So in these areas, they will ask you permitted, required, or not permitted. They will give you a scenario like this. So occupancy subject to 50 or more above below this exit discharge. Emergency lighting is required or permitted. Such questions will be asked. They will formulate the questions and they will ask for this. And so the thing you will get in the annexure section. There is an annexure section. Yes. So until this is the occupancy group. Okay, different occupancies group. You have to focus mainly on the type of occupancies, and the residential occupancies is very important. Business occupancies and mercantile occupancies is the next weightage to the residential occupancies. So if you are as a contractor in the QCDD guidelines, if you are in a firefighting, okay, if you are in a firefighting, out of 40 questions, I will write this. So if you are appearing for firefighting exam, out of 40 questions, you will get roughly 15 to 18 questions from QCDD guidelines for firefighting. If you are in an ACMB, out of 40 questions, 25 to 27 questions from QCDD guidelines. Apart from this 15, you will get roughly 25 to 22 to 23 questions from NFP. This is for firefighting. And for ACMB, out of this 40 questions, more weightage will be on QCD guidelines for ACMB exam. Okay, and you will get 10 to 15 questions from NFP, from all other NFPs. Okay, if you are as a consultant, your question will be 25. You will get 7 to 8 questions from QCD guidelines. Okay, remaining 15 to 16 or 17 questions from all other NFP. This includes firefighting or ACMV. This is for consultant. This is for contractors. Out of 25 questions, you will get 7 or 8 questions from QCDD guidelines, and rest of the questions from NFP. It will be a combination of firefighting and ACMV. The syllabus is same for contractors as well as for the consultants, but the weightage of the mark only differs. Yeah. So as a consultant, you have to appear for both ACMP as well as firefighting classes. But for the contractors, it is up to you to opt. Either you can appear for the 2 classes, there is no issue. Or if you are focusing only for the firefighting, you can focus only on the firefighting. If you are into ACMP, it's up to you to decide. Okay. The class will be continuous and you can always be welcome for both the classes. Yeah. So from here, the annexure section starts. So first, the refuge floor. Okay. In this, they have asked a question: holding area of naturally ventilated permanent openings at least 2 sides of external wall. The height of the opening shall not be less than how much high? Okay. They will not tell you that this question is in QCDD guidelines, or you have to refer this industry. You have to be familiarized with whether you have to opt for the QCDD guidelines or you have to go for the NFP. For that, you have to familiarize with guidelines, because it is not easy to read all the contents in NFPA and remember all these contents. But guidelines is very small. It's just a use of some important contents which you have to memorize, not memorize, you have to know. So if you read one annexure, it is just 2 pages. Okay. Refuge floor is just 2 pages. So whenever you get a time, just read one annexure a day. One annexure one day. So there is only 7 or 8 annexure apart from ACMB. ACMB is a huge one. So if you start reading one annexure, 2 pages in a day is very possible, right? So you don't have to memorize, but you have to be very attentive while reading. Because if you read once, you must know that if the question is being asked, this content is in this section of QCDD guidelines. You must know that. Because you don't have to memorize, but you have to be familiarized with these things. Okay. So this is not a tough language to understand. It's very clearly, legibly, easy to understand. Just read once, and they will ask you mainly for the secondary power supply fire resistance rating or the values. These values they will ask. They will be focusing on not only for the values as well as for the definitions of the section. They once asked this how much meter square per person of holding area. So if the occupant load of all stories above and below the refuge floor, how much is the per person square meter area? So such questions you can expect from this topic. The refuge floor is mainly for ACMB, those who are focusing on ACMB. The second topic is smoke stop and firefighting lobbies. This is another important area where firefighting or ACMB people have to be focused on. The questions will be asked for smoke stop lobby enclosures. What is the habitable height and the building basement more than they have asked the question mainly on this hover rating is very important. Okay, if in this 40 questions you may expect to get 3 or 4 questions mainly for the hover ratings of this particular area or particular wall. They will ask you the hover rate, fire resistance rate. So each area will have a different fire resistance rating. That's very important. And this area you have to be focused mainly for those who are focusing on ACM, smoke, stop, and firefighting lobbies. Okay, the questions will be from this section. And external access to site of the building, they rarely ask the question from this external access. But since in the I forgot to mention you, in the 40 questions there will be 2 or 3 general questions will be there. Okay, if you are in a contractor, in the 40 questions there will be 2 or 3 general questions. You don't know where it comes from. But that topics will be coming from the areas in the QCD guidelines, which is not your domain. Like they will ask you from electrical part, from the NFPA 72. That general questions will be there. Okay, but that will be in the guidelines. Okay, so those topics you can expect from these areas, external access or site buildings. 2 or 3 questions will be there. So that questions they will ask from these areas. Okay. Fire lifts and fire surface elevators. That's not part of your our syllabus because it's not related to firefighting or not related to SMB. But in the general question, you can expect 1 or 2 questions from this topic. They will ask. Normally, they are asking 3 questions from the general topics. The 1 question will be which is not the part of NFPA from the syllabus, and the other 2 questions they are focusing mainly on the guidelines, which is not as our domain. They will ask from electrical point, electrical or site access, something like that. So, fire emergency command center or FCC. So this is also important for those who are focusing on ACM. Okay? So fire command center or FCC is important for ACMB. Fire pumps. Fire pumps is very important for those who are appearing for the firefighting. The similar questions you can expect in NFPA 20, but that question will also be a part of QCDD guidelines in the fire pump section. So here you can see the minimum vertical clearance 2.6 meters. Okay, they have asked in the real-time exam very recently, and the ventilation of the roof is given. Exhaust one is 2 hours, and yes, they asked the fire pump must be capable of providing at least how much of the rated minimum firefighting water flow, not less than 65% of the minimum pressure required. They asked 150 and 65 as option. Okay. I don't remember whether it is 150 or 65, but one question from this section. Okay. Such questions you can expect from this annexer section. This is mainly focused for those who are focusing on firefighting. Electrical room, as I said, it's not important for you, but for general questions, they may ask 1 or 2 general questions, which may cover from this topic. This is not important for you. The firefighting system notes. This is very important for those who are focusing on the firefighting exams. There are plenty of questions they have asked from this section. So this section will be a compiled of NFPA 13 and 14. Okay. So NFPA 13 sprinkler systems and NFPA 14 standpipe systems. So you have to focus on NFPA 13 and 14 as well as in the firefighting notes. They will for sure they will ask question from this. Okay, I don't know how much question from this, but 100% they will ask question from this topic. Okay. So firefighting system guidelines. The another important topic for those who are appearing for the firefighting exam. This is also for the NFPA 13. You can expect many questions from NFPA 13 as well as for the NFPA 20. So 13, 14, and 20. So they once asked the square meter of gross floor area for the rising main for firefighting, and yes, they once asked the habitable height. Okay, how much is the habitable height of this area? that is given here in 28 meters, as well as from the drawing you can refer that. Because some questions they will ask the questions from the drawings as well. Okay, not only from the inner conduct. So it's hard sometimes to get it where you have to pitch for the searching of that particular concept. So clean engine system, this is the one which we were discussing. They have asked the delay, maximum time delay to discharge shall be 20 seconds. This is as per QCDD guidelines. But as per NFPA 2001, it is 10 seconds. Okay, so you have to focus the value which is given on QCDD guidelines, not as per NFPA 2001. Here, QCDD guidelines surpasses the value of NFPA. So you will get the values which is given on QCDD guidelines. So again, that topic is mainly important for the firefighting. As far as those who are appearing for the firefighting, this is not much important for you. And those who are into the ACMP, read this topic at least twice, because this topic is very, very important. You can expect many questions from this topic. Okay, they are asking the definition from this section, like smoke management or smoke containment. You can get some definition from this zone smoke control system. So the different pressure difference, that is for fully sprinkled, how much is that? If it is not non-sprinkled, what is the pressure difference? And the open force for the opening force for the door. That is when the starboard pressurization is done. What is the opening force? Minimum, maximum opening force. That is 1 ton Newton. But in QCD NFPA, the value is different. Okay, so you have to again refer to the value which is given on QCD guidelines. Okay, because this topic is very important when you are focusing on QCD guidelines. There are plenty of questions they have asked from this for pressure difference from the smoke zone to other areas, and what is a single injection system, what is multiple injection systems. They asked many questions from this. So here, what is the level which is given for multiple injection systems? They asked from the drawing. So apart from this, pressure difference between the automatic sprinkler systems, between the smoke zone and here you can see the difference between the different areas. Okay. So from staircase to lobby system, there will be a difference of 5 Pascal. From lobby to corridor, difference of 5 Pascal, and corridor to smoke control, smoke zone, it will be 12.5 Pascal. The minimum pressure difference at any section we will maintain is 12.5 Pascal. So here you can see for each areas, with this is for the building protected with the automatic sprinkler systems. This is for the building not protected with the automatic sprinkler systems. So they have asked the question from this section as well. This is those who are in appearing for the ACMP. You have to focus on this particular thing. Okay. Pressurization, escape route, and natural ventilation. The ACH is important. Okay. In this, they have asked how much ACH. Yes. In the smoke system designed for a minimum exhaust rate of 10 ACH with the provision of makeup or replacement air, which is 80 to 90% of the exit flow rate. That is, it's a thumb rule. Actually, it's not a standard rule. We will maintain 80 to 90% of inlet than the outflow. Okay. So it will have a provision to make an exhaust of 10 ACH. So such ACH questions will be there. Not only for this particular area, there will be other areas where you need to have the air change per round. They will ask the question from here. Here there is 6 ACH of minimum and 10 ACH under smoke mode. So this is very important. This is for the car parks and for the refuge floor and smoke control systems. Again, the pressure difference between the refuge floor area to the accommodation area or fire zone. What is the difference between this section? And the ventilation openings located. What is the horizontal distance as well as the vertical distance above the adjacent protected area? So the flow rate will be given, and ventilation fans. What is the fire rating of hours for the duration of the fan? So given there, and so natural ventilation. They asked the provision of smoke vents shall be permitted for car parks of 2,000 square meter or less than, enclosed shall not be more than 2 levels or 6 meters below the ground level, whichever is less. They asked one question from this. And attempts or large spaces, makeup air supply is limited to 1 meters per second unless a high velocity supported by a engineering analysis. So what is the makeup air velocity? They have asked one question from this. And so as we said, ACH for different area will be differs. So you have to be familiarized with the basement control, smoke control system. They will give you with that particular area and they will ask the question from this. Okay. So you must have to know each topic. What are the topics which is given here and what is the content which is given here. So if you are into ACMP, this guideline is very, very important. So in out of this ACMP, it will be 40 questions for contractors. 25 questions will be from the QCDD guidelines. In that 25 questions, from this section, you can expect around 10 questions from only from this guidelines, only from this section. Okay? 10 questions, the weightage will be differs because 2 marks will be there, 3 marks will be there, 4 marks will be there. The weightage of the marks will differs. So, and if the NFPA being asked, which is not in your syllabus, you can refer this NFPA in this area. In the QCD guidelines, there is a reference section. Okay, in this reference, you can get an n number of NFPs. Okay, so they will give you what is NFPA 704 meant for, or they will give you standard for identification of this system, which NFPA it is, whether it is 704 or 664 or 502 or the 400, which will not be familiar with you. They will give you 4 different codes. Okay, you don't have to worry about that. You can come and refer with the reference section of QCD guidelines, which is given on the bottommost end of the QCD guidelines, where you will get all the NFPA codes. Okay, even if it is not here, go to the NFPA 5000. It will have all the codes. Okay. In the reference section, you will get all the NFPA codes in NFPA 5000. Don't worry about it. Okay. So today we are focusing only on the QCD guidelines. You can see some questions regarding with the QCD guidelines. So mechanical ventilation smoke control system shall be provided for car parks located below ground or enclosed having floor area of more than.
Excuse me. Screen.
Not sure. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So mechanical ventilation and smoke control shall be provided for car parks located below ground or enclosed having floor area of more than. This comes under the guidelines, ACME guidelines. So in the ACM. So ACMB. So the car parks, which will be given. This is car parks. Mechanical ventilation, smoke control shall be provided for car parks located below or enclosed having a floor area of more than 2000 meters square. So the option is 2000 meters square. See.
Can you please repeat how did you find the section?
Mechanical ventilation. They have asked the question for car parks located below ground or enclosed having floor area. So the car parks will comes under the in the ACMB annexure section. You can see the car parks. So that's why you have to be familiarized with what are the refuge floor area. So elevator hoist pressurization, car parks. Each section you have to know. Only then you can easily identify where the question comes from. So permissible depth of single injection system where exit stair wall connects. So it's a single injection system. You can see the single injection system and the multiple injection systems here.
It's underwood.
Pardon?
Underwood.
This is also in ACM. Answer one. All these questions are from guidelines. Here you can see single injection and the multiple injection systems. So mechanical pressurization alternative. The single injection system shall be permitted for exit channels connecting more than 5 floors or depth of 18 meter where engineering analysis connects. So will be less than 18 meters where it connects with exit channel. So here you can see permitted where depth. Okay. So it will be less than 18 meters. So a building or space or in a building where which sleeping accommodations are provided and were not members of the same family in one room. So this is then definition. Definition for which accommodation group? It's not healthcare. From reading this, a building or space which group of sleeping accommodation are provided. It will not be healthcare. Logically, it will not be healthcare, right? So it will not be an ambulatory occupancy as well. You can eliminate both. And if you go to accommodation building or apartment occupancy, you can see this definition there. So if it is an accommodation building, a building or same with the section. What is this? A building or a space in a building which group of sleeping accommodation provides 16 dormitory buildings. So this is accommodation. A building in a space in which group of sleeping accommodations are provided who are not the members of a same family in one room or a series of closely associated rooms under joint occupancy and a single management with or without mates but without individual cooking facilities. You can see the same definition here. Okay, that is for accommodation building. Area required for providing sprinkler at the basement used for sale, storage, or handling combustible goods or merchandise. So this comes under merchandise occupancy. Okay. So if this is accommodation occupancies, accommodation building. You can see similar one for mercantile occupancy, business occupancy. So this is mercantile occupancy. Okay. They are asking area required for providing sprinkler basement used for sale, storage, and handling of combustible goods. So storage, handling of combustible goods. So So this is basement used for sale, storage, and handling of combustible goods in a merchandise. It is 232 meters square. It's 232 meters square. So fire extinguishment
Excuse me,
requirement.
excuse me. Can I have a question?
Previous question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused
Yes.
because it's my first time.
Yes. Yes.
The question, why don't why the question? Maybe I could go to NFVA 13.
No. Actually, engineer.
My question is
Yes.
how can I differentiate this question is belong or I should go because I have about 4 minutes to find the answer.
You will not have for this here. You
About
have
4 minutes.
5 minutes.
How can I decide for this question to go to the QCDD
Yes.
or to go to the NFVA, whatever
Okay.
the number is?
I will explain. If you are familiarized with the terms of annexure section QCDD guidelines, okay, you will know which content is in QCDD guidelines.
Okay.
So if you're because QCDD guidelines is very small, you cannot remember all the value, all the content in MFP. So I recommend you to remember some content in the QCD guidelines. So okay, this content is available in QCD guidelines or it is not available in the QCD guidelines. You will understand that.
Okay.
Okay. So if it is not there, you can go directly to the NFPA. But first preference you have to give to the QCD guidelines. Because if the same content given in QCD guidelines as well as for NFPA, you have to give the preference to the QCD guidelines for the answer.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So first preference you have to give for the QCD guidelines. Remember the content in QCD guidelines. Not all the contents, that is the annexure section.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I am not asking you to remember the values, but only the content. Which content is in which area? It's like a treasure hunt. So you have to be very attentive, not to memorize the things, but to be very fast in knowing the things where it is. That's the only thing. You don't have to be technically very strong. You have to be calculative. No, no, no. There's no calculation or nothing required. But you have to be very sharp in knowing the content, which area, which the content is available. Only thing.
Okay.
Clear?
Okay. Clear. Clear.
So here they will give you some hint like this. So if it is in merchandise, it will be on mercantile occupancy. Or else they will give you some terms like mercantile occupancies. So these mercantile occupancies, you can go directly to the QCD guidelines. There is an occupancy group. You can see the mercantile occupancies here. You can see here. So in mercantile occupancies, you can see the gross floor area throughout all the occupancies exceeding a gross floor area of 115 meter square. Area of 115 meter square. Okay. So it's an important thing to differentiate whether you have to go for NFPA or QCD guidelines. It's very important because you have to know what is there in the QCD guidelines. Only then you can understand the question which is coming from guidelines or from other part of NFPA. And important thing is you cannot type Control F and search in that. It's a scanned copy. Okay. NFPA is not a searchable copy. So you have to manually search this.
QCD.
QCDD is a searchable. So far, from the review of our previous students who appeared for that, because initially they said it was not a searchable one, but our last batch and previous batch they have appeared for the exam and they said they can do the search in the only the guidelines, okay, not in the NFP. NFP is scanning. Okay. So today, as we discussed, we have focused only on QCD guidelines. The QCD guidelines, try to start your reading of guidelines, okay, in the annexure section as well as from the three occupancy group: residential, mercantile, and business. Okay. Residential occupancy is a big occupancy group, but just know what are the contents available. Okay. What is occupancy load factor? What is means of egress? What is illumination? All these things. Just roughly go through this. Okay. So, is there any doubt in today's session? Today is an initial class, so I'm not giving much input on next one. I think they will give you a schedule on next class when it will be. Most probably, our class will be Saturday, Monday, Wednesdays for the guidance, for the QCD. So, is there any doubt in today's session?
The link, right?
Yes, the link. And QCD guidelines is downloadable. Whoever can go to QCD website and give the guidelines, you will get updated version. Make sure it's an updated version. Okay? You will get older version also. Don't start studying on the older version. Okay, it's changed. Completely changed. This is the latest version. So
Excuse
with
me.
that, yes, is there.
is the content is identical for mercantile, residential? I mean, if I read one section,
Yes.
it will be the same for others, yeah? Say,
The content will be same, but some values will differ. So like FHR value will be differs for our
yeah. Values will be different, but I mean the same
yes, the
content.
format will be same.
Okay.
Format will be same. Because if you very attentively read one occupancy group, you can identify what are the contents in that in all other sections as well. So, if there is no doubt in this session, our class will be like we will take the presentation first. Then, in the second half, we will try to cover maximum presentation, and last half an hour to 40 minutes will be for practicing the questions. So we will take the real time exam question, and we will get you to the NFP or QCDD guidelines where the question comes from. Then we will try to solve these questions along with them. So you will be familiarized with how the questions will be, where you have to focus on, which area the questions comes from. You will also be familiarized with. So this is how our learning pattern will be. So if you have any doubt, or because if I'm going fast, or if my language is having any issues, you can feel free to ask me anytime. I'm ready to clarify all your doubts. And if you have any doubt, just post in the group or text me in the personal. If I didn't respond, please give me a reminder, because I am currently taking UPD also. So I'll be a bit occupied. So if you didn't get the answer, just send me a reminder. Okay. So thank you, GS. We can wind up today's session. Inshallah, we'll meet on next session. They will post on the when the next session will be. So it will be once the next session starts, it will be continuous. Thank you. All the best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.